by TSC, which is number 196.
You need to stop the insults. They are not theatrics. We are raising legitimate issues.
Yes. Yeah,
let's keep away from insults. It's not right to tell council that they are indulging in theatrics. We are not indulging in any theatrics.
We've been trying to have very dignified proceedings from the beginning.
Yes.
But
let's keep to it.
Don't spoil the...
No, I'm not the one spoiling. I said our appeal. Our appeal is 196. Then 3 of them ask which appeal. I have said this twice. Our appeal, which is TSC appeal. Really, I don't know how else I could say. And the sentence is, Lords, please, that in paragraph B, our prayers, we have said the petition be dismissed with no order as to cause.
We now join our reporter Sharon Mumanyi, who has been at the Court of Appeal since this morning. Good afternoon, Sharon. How does the case look like?
Yes, good afternoon, Najma. As it appears, public education matters have momentarily moved from classrooms into courts, and now what we had this morning is the continuation of the hearings here at the Court of Appeal. We remember that the Teacher Service Commission is appealing against that ruling that was made by the Industrial Court awarding teachers 50 to 60% pay rise. Now this morning, a continuation of the hearings that began yesterday, we had the lawyer for Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Feroz Norwoji, just issuing his submissions to the court today. And his main argument, Najma, was that the court erred in dismissing the role of SRC in the negotiations between the teachers and their employer, stating that SRC is formed constitutionally and has a constitutional mandate, to facilitate such procedures, Najma, setting, reviewing and harmonizing the salaries of public workers. Now Feroz saying that teachers are indeed public workers, and there is no way that the court, you remember that in the ruling, Justice Ndumanderi advised Teachers Service Commission that they did not have to heed to the advice by the SRC. Now their lawyer today saying that that was an error because the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has a constitutional mandate to in fact advise and oversee such procedures. His second argument was that also constitutionally there are institutions that are bound to heed to advice by the SRC, stating that the TSC is one such institution, and there's no way that SRC would be advising other institutions and other commissions and leaving TSC behind. So stating his main argument there that SRC had a crucial role in this whole negotiation process, and that in fact that ruling then was an error of law. He also stated that there's no way the Teacher Service Commission would independently form a budget and take it to the Treasury, to have this award implemented, stating that there are standard operating procedures and legal procedures to such ends, saying that actually awarding such, a pay rise, which would, mean a commitment of public tax, would be an act of Parliament and not really an act of the Teacher Service Commission, being that it does not have its independent, funds, Najma. So those were the submissions that were made by the SRC's lawyer. He's the only one who made his submissions this morning, and the court adjourned at about 12 p.m. and is set to resume at 2 p.m. Najma.
Sharon, just briefly, what should we expect from this afternoon's proceedings?
What we expect is that yesterday we had the Attorney General make his submissions. We also had, representatives from the Teacher Service Commissions. We had their lawyer, Fred Ngatia, and their lawyers making the submissions yesterday. So this afternoon, the teachers will have their turn to make their submissions and responses to these submissions. This afternoon, we have their lawyer, Paul Mwite, coming to make that submissions. And we remember, Najma, that these two parties have been very adamant on their stance. The Teacher Service Commission, the SRC, the government entirely, just saying that they do not have the muscle to implement, the financial muscle to implement this award that was issued by the Industrial Court. And they have maintained this this stand since the award was issued on June 30th. The teachers, on their part, have remained adamant that this must be paid to them, being an order that was made by court and thus binding to the government as well. So both parties really adamant on their stance, Najma. So we stand to see how the proceedings and how the teachers will defend their cause this afternoon.
Very much. Sharon Momanyi there at the Court of Appeal. She has been following the proceedings. It's indeed a wait-and-see game. Yesterday, the AG said that the country would have to borrow heavily to sustain the pay, which would cost the government approximately 72 billion shillings. Now, moving on, Leader of Majority Aden Duale has just finished addressing a press conference in Parliament buildings over the impending motion by the opposition to impeach President Uhuru Kenyatta. We are now joined by our reporter Nicholas Wambua in Parliament. Nicholas, if you can hear me, what came out of the press conference? Nicholas, can you hear me?
Thank you very much, Najma. I'm at the National Parliament building, whereby the Jubilee Coalition has been holding a press conference to address several matters, including the impeachment of the President Uhuru Kenyatta and the devolution cabinet secretary Waiguru. And the MPs are saying that these are motions or these impeachments that really cannot take place, because the due process is not to be here. For the MPs to impeach the president or the CS, they have to have 117 signatures of the members of parliament, whereby they are saying that this is just a waving air, whereby just calls are being made in open places or in open arenas that impeachment are going to take place. And they are saying that without these 117 signatures of the members of parliament, then the impeachment cannot take place. One of the members who's been spearheading the impeachment motion for the CS Waiguru, that is Alfred Ketel, who is a member of the Jubilee, is said to be a mole of the coalition. The the Jubilee MP is led by the majority leader in the parliament, that is Aden Duale, say that say that Secretary is being used by the court and is not representing the views of the Jubilee coalition. Therefore, they say that the claims that Secretary is collecting signatures to have Waiguru impeached are not views from the Jubilee coalition. However, the MPs are saying that the matter expressed yesterday by the member of parliament, that is Samuel Chepunga, that yes, the ICC cases might have been compromised from the Waki report that the witnesses were being procured is a real matter that was raised by Moses Suri and should be addressed as fast as possible. These Waki reporters presented in the Parliament in yes, the year 2008 and was not discussed by the Parliament, and now they want the report to be discussed right now.
Nicholas,
back to you, Najma. Yes.
Yes, I understand that there was an earlier press conference by Nairobi members of Parliament. Maybe if you could tell us what it was about.
Yes, Najma, the Nairobi members of parliament led by YT2 have said that the county government of Nairobi is losing more than 70 million shillings in parking fees, with 1 billion shillings generally in funds to corruption. They're saying that there was a signatory or a signature made in a contract by the two parties, that is the Nairobi county government and the Jump Pay, and they're saying that this body in the contract does not have an office in the county government offices, whereby they're saying that right now the Jump Pay is having an office in the county government, whereby they're collecting or they're getting 4.5% in the total revenue collection. They're accusing Kidero of corruption in the office, saying that this was not part of the agreement. Therefore, they're saying that it is something that should really be open, and they want the EFCC to come in and investigate Kidero on this matter.
Thank you very much, Nicholas Wambua. There, we'll be keeping an eye on that story and we'll give you details in our subsequent bulletins. Moving on to Uganda now. Ugandan opposition party UPC is also weighing in on the saga of the UPC flag. Now, here's a report from our sister station NBS.
Last week saw a melee at TDA offices in Naguru as Jimmy Akena-led faction stormed the alliance offices and whisked away with the party's flag, which was flying alongside other 8 party symbols in the coalition. The flag had occupied the premise on consent of the Otunu faction, which the rival body contested.
The UPC flag or the UPC name should not be dragged into something of which we're not a party to. So at this point, at least the flag has come down.
After the brave withdrawal of the party symbol by the Akena faction, the flag was again seen waving at Naguru. The party is now seeking court intervention. The party spokesperson, Michael Orach Osinde, boldly dismissed the party ever signing to the protocol that united parties into the coalition.
We have never been in TDA, and we have already set the legal proceedings. Should they put that flag up again, the next thing is that we shall take them to court. But whether they are still there is also another matter.
In addition, the party has also given Olaro Tunu a 2-week ultimatum to return the money he allegedly took from the party's coffers.
The rumor was that the money that got lost in UPC, Otunu had alleged that he had taken to TDA to support TDA. The evidence emerging in TDA is that Otunu did not pay any shilling in TDA. We call upon him to refund that money within 14 days.
The party claimed Olaro Tunu whisked over 140 million shillings from the party account before he was unseated by Jimmy Akena as the party's president.
Still in Uganda, the Ugandan government says it is heading to the Supreme Court to appeal a constitutional court decision on special interest groups such as the army, youth and workers being in parliament.
Hours after the landmark ruling of the Constitutional Court was delivered, the state has instituted a process to appeal the decision, with the battle headed to the Supreme Court.
The Attorney General's office has lodged notice of appeal, and we shall apply for stay of execution in the Supreme Court to ensure that justice is not only done, but is seen to be done, even at the highest level of our courts of judicature.
If granted, the order of court will maintain the status quo of target MPs in the August House. Despite the ruling, Parliament maintains their presence in the August House is undisputed.
In the interim, what I expect the minister to say is that he's going to communicate to the whole of the country that those processes should be stayed for the moment. Okay? Should be stayed for the moment until they further communicate on the way forward.
After the Deputy Speaker's pronouncement, the affected MPs we captured heaved a sigh of relief.
There is no court order asking the youth members of parliament or the special interest groups to vacate their seats in parliament. It is not there. What this ruling is talking about is that the act or the regulations that we have in place for electing the special interest groups is not inconsistent with the Parliamentary Election Act.
The ruling is just requesting us to have an improved law of how we've been managing our elections. And I think that is not a problem. We have a short time to do that, but I think it can be done, and it will accommodate whatever they want.
As a result of Tuesday's ruling, court ordered the Electoral Commission to put a red tape on any activity involving the concerned, but the body has denied information to the above.
As EC, we are yet to get the details of that ruling, when we get those details, our lawyers will have to advise us on the way forward. Otherwise, for now, I can't say much because we have not yet seen the ruling, neither gotten legal guidance on the ruling.
In the Constitutional Court ruling, the 5 judges declared that the disputed law in relation to the election of the representatives of the army, youth and workers is void in accordance with Article 2 of the Constitution.
Now, apart from Tanzania, Ivory Coast will also be going for elections on the 25th of October. Incumbent President Alassane Ouattara is seeking a second term in office. Now, the president is favored to win another term, but analysts warn that recent protests in the country could be a signal of deep-running divisions in the country's politics.
On the streets of Abidjan, a protest is underway. These are the supporters of the opposition National Coalition for Change, founded by former President Laurent Gbagbo, who is currently facing charges at The Hague. They are accusing the current president, Alassane Ouattara, who is seeking a second term in office, of mismanaging the country. Ouattara won the election in 2013 after a bitter civil war that ripped the country apart. Now, the opposition is accusing him of excluding parts of the country's population in his agenda.
What we want is first and foremost for Ouattara to leave politics because he is not eligible. The next thing we want is for the constitution to be respected. Our constitution is not respected. The other point is for elections to take place in a free and fair atmosphere because we have an electoral commission that is at the mercy of government. That is why we are protesting, so that we can have a transparent and independent electoral commission, not just in name.
The opposition says Ouattara has failed the leadership test.
We are protesting and we are demanding more for Ivory Coast. Mr. Alassane Ouattara has brainwashed the country's state media for the last 4 years, and since they have been in power, no one from the left has been able to have access to the state media, and we are saying it has to stop.
The West African nation is already on the recovery path after investors flocked back there following the election of Ouattara. Earlier in the week, the government announced that it had compensated more than 1,000 victims of the post-election violence that rocked the country in 2010-2011.
With this compensation program, we've done a big step forward in the path to reconciliation and the path to social cohesion. You know that compensation is not only financial. This is a moral compensation as well as a physical compensation, a community compensation, an individual compensation. So people who are injured, who receive the state's compassion, even though they weren't expecting any. It's the first time that a compensation program has succeeded, and it's a relief.
This month's vote is seen as a crucial factor in determining the country's complete recovery from the civil war. Jogeo, KTN News.
Welcome back. We do apologize for that slight hitch. Now, thousands of residents in Pokot, North Sub-County are staring at the grim face of hunger after crops wither due to lack of enough rainfall. Now, as most counties in the country are busy putting measures in place to avert effects of the predicted El Nino, residents of West Pokot are eagerly waiting for the rain. The residents are happy that this year they may not be forced to migrate as far as Uganda in search of pastures and water if the country experiences the rains. Take a look.
Even as the country prepares for the El Nino rains, more than 67,000 people in West Pokot County are facing starvation following a prolonged drought. Areas mostly affected by the drought in the county are Konyao, Kacheliba, Kasei, Alale, Chepkobe, and Kanyarkwat village along the Tackle Belt. Kacheliba Member of Parliament Mark Lomunokol has asked the government to urgently supply the residents with relief food.
Upon NDMA, National Drought Management Authority, wakuje kwa haraka sana, wakuje wafanya assessment because they are entitled to assess and inform the government so that the government may act to avert any deaths, any threat that is related to lack of food.
President said most farmers incurred huge losses since they never managed to harvest anything from their farms. The last received rainfall was in the month of June, and this has forced many families to sleep on empty stomachs.
Tumekaa na ukame kabisa. Kama ikiwezekana serikali atusaidie chakula, hata maji hakuna. Tumeumia na maji. Maji ambayo tunakunywa kidogo ambayo ni ya damu, na niyo maji ni maji chafu kabisa.
The drought has also affected learning in the constituency, with many schools being forced to close for lack of food and water. During the long dry seasons, the Pokot leave their permanent settlements and move their cattle to where there is pasture and water, often crossing forcibly into the territory of neighboring regions of Karamojong in Uganda.
Tunaenda mbali. Ingewezekana hata atusaidie hata hii maji ya kufunga, ili tupate ikinyesha mvua kidogo tupate ya kuchota.
Competition for scarce resources, particularly water and pasture, and the high value placed on cattle have produced a culture of raiding and warfare. The conflict has had great impact on the communities. Many men end up being killed in the raids, leaving widows to fend for themselves. The residents are now eagerly waiting for the El Niño rains to enable pastures to regerminate and feed their livestock, which they're currently depending on.
Waweza kusoma kwa sababu ikiwa hana chakula. So kama kaunti anaweza atetee hata mashule na atetee hata masisi, kwa sababu hatuna uwezo. Ama serikali tunaweza hitaji hata wao naye atusaidie.
They are happy that this time they may not be forced to migrate as far as Uganda in search of food, water and pasture. Michelle Ngele, KTN News.
Thank you very much for watching News Desk on KTN Home. But on the second part of this bulletin on KTN News, we will be joined by Anna Ozoro, who's a Nairobi County Executive of Trade, to tell us about youth empowerment.